Ndindoda kuti nyika isiwe vanhu vangu inguva yedu hatingachatsi kubudirira Mwari ari parutivi pedu rambai muchirwa
My hitters don't die, and real hitters gon' shine, and my people gon' rise, cause we're born to win, yeah, I ain't saying
how the hell do I not have a deal? I swear this thing is a real dog. I play it fan off, the cowards that they can't feel. The wife try to console me like it's coming, baby, chill. She don't understand, I'm the only one that's real. I remember the 3rd grade, them kids, they had waves. I had them BDBs, you know that Zimbabwe grade. So they do shades, and your boy hit the stage, press play, and all the chicks was like, yeah. While boys was moving bricks, I was moving chips, yeah. If she gave me calculus, gave her a mouthful of it. Heat rose to this thing, boy, I bet on myself.
Well, grand rising, everyone. Welcome to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. I want to welcome you to a wonderful Wednesday. I'm so excited because I got some dynamic guests in the building. Shalimar Gonzales, CEO of Solid Ground, is here with me today. She's going to be telling us all about the work of Solid Ground and also an upcoming event, a Women of Color panel I get to help moderate coming up in June. She's going to be telling us all about that event as well. And then AJ Brooks is joining us once again. He is the head of school for Seattle School for Boys, and he's going to be telling us about some news that just broke to the families there and ways that we can support that school. So I'm excited to have them both here today. But of course, it is the top of the show, y'all. So it's a great time to tag and share the stream right here. That's right. You get to work with us and help us. Go ahead and tag and share the stream with folks you feel could benefit from a daily dose of dopeness right here on The Day with Trae. And if you cannot watch us on this amazing TV show, do not worry. We got you covered because you can listen to us anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Just search Converge Media Network and The Day with Trae. Y'all will find me on Google, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Apple Music, whichever one is your favorite. Just search for us and you'll find us there. Well, I'm excited because I get to work with Shalimar soon, but she's been doing some great work already. What's up, Shalimar? How are you?
Hey, what's up, Trae? How are you?
Good. So good to have you here with me today. You know, Solid Ground is known by many, but maybe for those who don't know, give us some background of what Solid Ground does, what this amazing organization is doing for community members today.
Yeah, thanks, Trae. It's so I've been stewarding Solid Ground for 2 years. So I started during the pandemic as the CEO of Solid Ground, but Solid Ground's been around for nearly 50 years. Some people might know us by our former name, Fremont Public Association, and based in the Fremont area and really North Seattle, and doing a wide variety of anti-poverty work. And we still continue that. And as poverty has changed and as our communities have shifted, so has our programs. We used to do AIDS prevention work and sex education work and global health work, and now we've really shifted to truly, I think, the tenets of anti-poverty work, which is, I like to say, is anti-capitalism work. Mm-hmm. And so when, especially in the last couple of years, what we saw with the global pandemic, what we saw with our racial uprisings right here in Seattle, we really kind of stepped into the fold and said, how can we do more in places and in times where so many people were trying to figure out, like, how do they just work from home? We were like, we can't work from home. We don't get to do that, right? So our folks still need transportation. We're a proud partner with Metro, so we do all the access transportation work, the ADA paratransit work. We do food services. We do homeless support services. We have housing. We do residential services. We do domestic violence support work. We have one of the few domestic violence shelters right here in the city of Seattle. So we serve about 66,000 folks a year in counting. Unfortunately, in counting, right? Like, that's not something that we like to brag about. I would love it if we one day got to say that we serve 0 people, because we've figured out a way to fight poverty and solve poverty and all the things that bring on poverty. So,
well, I love how you call it anti-capitalism work, and of course, because I'm one who understands that a lot of poverty, unfortunately, is situated in communities of the global majority. And the truth of the matter is that we could talk about racial disparities all day long, but almost any data metric that you have will showcase indigenous and black folks, are at the top when it comes to poverty and at the bottom when it comes to wealth. And we just see these dynamics play out in our communities, which is why organizations like Solid Ground are so important. Now, as you took on the role of CEO, I mean, you're already bringing a lot of different community organizing from your own background into the role, but how have you been able to bring all of that to Solid Ground with the ways that you've been able to make connections in community and be an asset for so many others in community?
Yeah, I think that, you know, for me, it was really around continuing to ground myself in the idea and kind of my own mantra that poverty is an assault on humanity. And so every single day, you know, I wake up and I think, what am I going to be able to do today to help support and serve people? And sometimes that day is, you know, helping my internal staff team to figure out how we're going to raise our wages, right? Sometimes it's advocating at Olympia and really talking to our politicians. And so much of what I have done in my career has been around how do you bring communities together around an issue, and then how do you take that strength of community and that power that community has, and how do you drive it forward into the ways in which we want to make change? And so every single day I sit down and I say, did I make some amount of change today? And sometimes it's very little. Sometimes I'm like, I think so. Like, I think I did. And other days I'm like, wow, like we really changed legislation. Like we really worked through some TANF issues. We really, you know, were able to write, you know, $3 million worth of anti-poverty rental support checks to keep people housed in their current homes, you know, and being able to say that every single day is just a pleasure and a joy. So, you know, part of that is really every single day, like I said, is how I stay grounded. And for me, it's around continuing to take our really diverse staff team. We have an incredibly, I mean, the amount of languages that we speak, the amount of folks that we're serving, the amount of lived experience that we're bringing in, and how do we take all of that and mesh it all together? So that way when we exit our offices, when we exit our program spaces, that we are speaking with one unified voice. And that's really always been my approach, that I want us to be one solid ground. When we tell the stories, our own stories, when we're talking to community, we're doing it in a trauma-informed and anti-racist approach. Like there's so many different things that we do. And that's my goal, is just to continue to push us further and faster. Sometimes my staff don't like it, but faster.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, this is really about the people, you know, you serve. And when you have an understanding, a clear understanding, as Solid Ground does, of these are the folks we're serving, it is a driving force to move faster on their behalf every single day. So I receive that. I know sometimes it may seem like, oh man, we got a lot going on, but it's so necessary. And I'm always, you know, saying, just like Omari says, you know, we can't take our foot off the gas. There's plenty of people who have said that, but it's one of the things for me that goes, that is a driving force for me, because I'm always thinking about my kids. And I'm like, yo, if I can do something today to make it better for them when they're adults, to make it better for their children, that's my driving force. And so one of the things I really love about what y'all do is you also give those who are in poverty, those who find themselves in that predicament situation financially or what have you, that you also are giving them opportunities to empower themselves by being a part of the solutions in ways in which taking their voices to Olympia, collectivizing their lived experience and allowing that to center and drive your approach to the work. So I'm a huge fan. I think it's so necessary, honestly, for us to have organizations like Solid Ground. But you're also, you know, the host of this amazing panel that's coming up next month. And tell us more about what made y'all say, let's pull together some dynamic women from Global Majority who are doing the work and really showcasing what it means to have this love of community that I feel like is really essentially what I see in all of the women that are going to be on the panel. Tell us more about what got y'all to say, we need to do this.
Yeah, so, you know, the women that are on this panel with me, and I'm just so honored that they said yes, right? Like I talk to them every single day. When I started, when we were, you know, sprinting what is clearly a marathon, we were talking about anti-poverty work, but we're all sprinting, and I was exhausted every single day. And I called them, how are you guys doing this? Like, how are you continuing to do this? And so those were, you know, not their colleagues, their mentors, their inspirations for me. And these are incredibly complex, incredibly intelligent and thoughtful women that are leading organizations and have been for years. And so for me, this was an opportunity to really say thank you. This was my thank you to them, was to say, how can we get your story out even more? And how do we let people know the incredible work that is happening? Because when you're doing this type of work, everybody has an opinion about how it should be done, whether or not community voice should be involved, or if it should be involved at a certain level, and then other folks start to, get to be the ones that are showcasing the stories. So there's just so many complexities. And then, the complexity of when you walk outside and you kind of say, like, did we make a change, right? Like, did we make a change from the 70s, 80s, and 90s into what we are right now? And so for us to be able to sit on a stage together and really have the conversations that we have behind closed doors, when that includes the good, the bad, and the ugly of the work that we do, and to be able to also say, but collectively, as individual organizations, we're also a network. Right? Like, if I can't serve a community member for whatever reason, I'm calling Janice, I'm calling Estella, I'm calling Bird Bar Place, and I'm saying, hey, I've got someone, can you support them? That's the power of community, right? And we talk about, and El Centro de la Raza has a history and a legacy of really community-driven work. And we borrowed that at Solid Ground, right? And we've been able to say, how have you guys did that? And how we want to do more of that. How do we continue to bring lived experience not only into our boards, and now for us, we're doing our strategic planning. So it's how do we also bring that voice into our strategic planning, our entire strategic planning process. It's not led by me, it's not led by our staff, it's not led by our board of directors, it's led by a coalition of lived experience folks, which is amazing for us. So I'm so excited about June 6th because that's the space that I get to sit in every single day. That's the brilliance that I get to experience every day when I talk to these leaders and these women, and I just want other people to see it. I just want other people to experience it.
Well, I'm so glad that I get to be a part of this, honestly, because the discussion I know is going to take on, its own nodes, but whatever is shared there is going to be so empowering and very powerful for the audience, to be able to hear some of the ways that the work continues in the midst of whatever challenges come across the path of all of y'all in your work, in your roles, and in the organizations, because we're also we're talking to the leaders of these organizations, and so there's some really specific things that fall on leaders' shoulders oftentimes that is not seen by anyone else. So I love that y'all have this network. I think it's so important to be able to have that sense of sisterhood or leadershiphood, whether it's men, women, unidentifying, like whatever it is, you need to be able to have those folks that you can rest and say, look, you get it, because I know you're probably feeling it in a different way, but here's what's going on and how do I get through it. It's really, also inspiring for me to hear you say that you're like, look, I know I had to tap on their shoulders. I know I had to make those phone calls, right? Because we see a lot of our amazing leaders burn out. Yes. And that is real. We understand work-life balance is hard. I was just explaining to someone, or can be looked at as challenging. I was explaining to someone that, the organizing work I do is life, right? And so I was so fired up the other night, went home, and I was telling my son, my 17-year-old son and his girlfriend, about how important their contributions are going to be moving forward, and that I was like, son, I'm raising you in this way because you have to see all of this right now, because it's going to soon be you who's like, you know what, now my ideas need to be the ones that are solving problems and really creating solutions for our community. So Shalimar, I'm excited. Make sure you look right there. Let them know, how do they connect with Solid Ground, and definitely how do they make sure that they are tapped in and tuned in for this amazing event coming up June 6th.
Yeah, right on. So June 6th, 7 p.m., the event's going to be at Town Hall Seattle. You can get information about the event by visiting the Solid Ground website at www.solidground or www.solid-ground.org. And we're really looking forward to it. It's going to be a fabulous event. It's pay what you can, $0 to $10. So we really tried to make it as affordable as possible. We got plenty of seats, so we're looking to fill that space. And just like I said, if you want to tap into our Instagram, our Twitter, you can find us always at just Google Solid Ground Seattle, and you'll find all of our social media. So looking forward to seeing people there.
Oh, right on, Shalimar. Thank you for your work, and thank you for bringing your experience to this panel June 6th. I'm excited to be with you.
Oh, thank you. We're excited to have you.
Absolutely. Oh, y'all, I told you it is Wonderful Wednesday. This wonderfulness gets to continue because I get to tap back in with my brother, AJ Brooks, head of school for Seattle School for Boys. He's here to tell us about some announcements they have and maybe some ways that we can support. Stay tuned right after this short break. You're watching The Day with Trae.
1 in every 500 African Americans in the U.S. suffers from sickle cell disease. 1 in 3 African American blood donors is a match for patients with sickle cell. 1 appointment to donate blood with the American Red Cross can help save a life. Will you be that one? Visit redcrossblood.org/ourblood today to schedule an appointment at a location near you.
COVID-19 hurt my income, my health, and my family. We were about to lose our home when we heard we might be eligible for homeowner assistance funds from the government. We called 1-877-894-HOME, and a housing counselor stepped in, they talked to our lender, and saved our home. Because falling on hard times does not have to mean losing your home. Federal funding details at washingtonhaf.org.
What's up, everybody? You know, me and Besa, my girl, we had to pull up to Market Street Shoes once again, y'all.
And you know, we do this every season. We have to get the new shoes, the new boots, and this time I even got a coat.
Yeah, no, you did walk in without a coat.
I really
I'm glad
did.
you found one. But their boots were on point.
Yes, the boots, the bags. I even grabbed a flannel.
Yeah, you did. You know, and I was able to get some hats and everything. I was really impressed.
And you know, I was impressed because, of course, I got those white boots that you guys see me wearing everywhere these days.
Yeah, no, I look at your white boots and I'm like, darn it, they only have one pair. Me and Basa wear the same size. Of course, every time we walk out with several bags in hand.
Several bags and sometimes even a backpack, you guys. Make sure you check out Market Street Shoes.
Yeah, please check them out. Where they go, Basa?
Ooh, 2232 Northwest Market Street, Seattle, Washington.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Joining me right now is my good friend, AJ Brooks, head of school for Seattle School for Boys. What's up, AJ? I feel like you were just with me, right? We were talking all about the fun, Rainier Valley fun. I mean, there was all this great stuff going on, but we didn't even get to tap into this school that, you know, is still seems to be new, but y'all have some announcements. I want to first start off with how you got to become the head of the school.
How did I get to become? You know, the school had gone through a bit of transition. The school started about 4 years ago. Went through a head of school, went through another head of school, a couple of location changes, and needed someone to come in that had some experience in being with startup schools and founding schools, and just, you know, I really wanted to get back to being in the building with students, and really the opportunity just presented itself through some friends, and just seemed like the right fit, right? I think we all talk about the need in our city for our Black boys, just boys in general, to be in spaces where they can learn to express themselves, where they can feel comfortable in really developing in who they are. And, you know, the mission and vision of the school really spoke to me, and you know, here I am. Wow. Well, yeah.
Well, you know, you do have the history of startup schools, founding schools. You've brought your passion for education to so many different realms. And, you know, why? Like, what is that driving force for you to bring your brilliance into the educational environment and help either enrich, uplift, overturn, change? I mean, you've done so many different things in the educational realm.
It's funny. I mean, you say brilliance. Come on now, you know. I bring myself, and I have a lot of brilliant people around me. You know, when I think about when we grew up, being growing up in the Central District, being bussed out to the North End, having to be in environments where we didn't necessarily always feel like we were seen by our teachers and maybe even by our peers, and the cultural competencies that maybe weren't there with those transitions or with in those environments. Really, I think is what got me to really want to get into education. I had a son that was coming up who we was looking into like where he was going to go and how he was going to engage in his education, and just really felt with my background and with just my family has always been involved in education or just connecting and building community, that this was a tool, or this is a tool that I could take out of my toolbox and support. And so I think that's one aspect of it. Anytime I feel like I can support my community in the way that I can, I try. And I might not always be like the person on the ground, grassroots, doing the work, but I often try to be at the higher levels to either change policies or redirect thought on how we see our environments being. So yeah.
Education is such a huge pillar too in our community, and y'all just had some recent changes at Seattle School for Boys, and I want you to be able to tell us all about that. I mean, this again, one of those environments really dedicated to allowing. This is middle school, right?
Yeah. Middle school boys.
Age boys. To have that bonding experience and really be in an environment that is specific for them. Tell us about the recent changes now. I mean,
yeah, so we recently announced to our community that we would be closing our doors at the end of the year. As I talked about, SSB started 4 years ago, just before the pandemic. And part of that was it was good for us because we were able to be a space where families could go to during the pandemic that were still in. We still had classes in person, and that was helpful for us. But we got to a point where we grew really fast, and so we really needed to. I wouldn't say we need to shrink to grow, and we really honed in our program. And unfortunately doing that during a time when you have Seattle's shrinking, our population shrinking, families are moving out of the city. We saw a larger than expected decrease in our enrollment, and with the enrollment that we were having and the amount of support that we typically give to our scholars, we just couldn't. It just wasn't a sustainable model. So we said we're closing SSB as it's known to be at the end of this school year. But I don't see that the mission and vision of the school closing or dying for good. And so there's still our staff is still very poised, and we have families that are still really interested in wanting to keep the mission and vision alive. And so I think it's important that we keep the conversation going for what it can be and what it is. So,
yeah. And in that regard, I mean, clearly there's likely going to be some ways for community to connect on this, and this is why we wanted to bring you here, because again, we don't want to see it as losing one of our institutions, but we want to see it as a way for community now to understand and know what's going on there, so that we can maybe find other ways to support, find ways to keep that mission and vision alive, as you said. What are some of the things you're looking forward to? I know clearly, the primary focus now is likely, okay, let's make sure that the students we have right now end in a dynamic way. But what are some of those possibilities where community can really, be an asset to Seattle School for Boys?
Yeah, so I think similar to a model that we had developed with Rainier Valley Leadership Academy, where we really made the institution one that was community driven, community led, I think it's, that's something that, as we look at SSB serving a need in our community, to get community to gather around it and really help develop and point it in a way that it needs. I think that's something that it was missing a little bit. Our model really was kind of a traditional model of having a board that didn't have much hands in the school, and as we now move into this new phase of what it could be, really looking to see how can we really thin out the layers of leadership, right? How do we get community into the school? How do we get the leadership to actually reflect the students and scholars that are in the space? And so that's there isn't a this happened very recently, which is why I was like, do I really do I really want to come here and give this give this news? But I think it's important because I really don't want it to die out. It's something, as every day on the news we hear about our boys, and just how they aren't able to or can't connect with their feelings in a way that's healthy, right? And that's something that is so powerful in our building, what we do, right? We're so focused on our social emotional development of our scholars. We spend a lot of time talking about how they feel, how they process their feelings, and how they engage in healthy relationships with their peers and with others, how they advocate for themselves in spaces, how they advocate for others. Like, all these things are all tools that I think we all agree are needed for some of our boys that are consistently getting these having this messaging in our communities about what there's toxic masculinity everywhere, right? But they're not getting this messaging of like, what does it mean to be me then? Like, what does it mean to feel what I feel, and be confident in that in a way so that I can actually go out and be in a world in my true self, right, in a healthy way. And so we need that, right? We need that as a community, and so. I think as we continue to talk about what this next phase of a boys' school, a Seattle school for boys, whatever it may be, as we start to continue to have these conversations, any community members that see the need and and have an understanding of why such a thing might be important for Seattle, for I say just connect.
Yeah.
Connect, and let's continue continue the conversations.
There it is. It's a great call to action, and that's why we had to bring you on now. We had to because, for me, a lot of this stuff happens in silos, man. We know this, right? Like, the next thing we know, an institution's gone, and people don't know about it for months because they're like, oh, wait, I wasn't actually connected. I didn't have a child there. There's so many reasons why I didn't hear that. And so I'm glad that you did come back to my show today to really help us understand an opportunity that is before us. So, of course, if folks are looking to connect and maybe be one of those folks that really want to support the next iteration of what this boys' school could look like, or how to support the scholars, how to support the continuation of the mission and vision, look right there. Just let them know. Are they emailing you? What are they doing? How are they connecting?
At this point, you can email me, abrooks@seattleschoolforboys.org. Reach out. Whether it be just in program development, whether it be resources, dollars, locations, sites that you think may be good sites for us to find a home in, whatever it may be, just hit me. Yeah. Amazing.
AJ, thank you, and thank you for the you sharing this, because others may just have been like, man, I'm gonna tuck my tail over here or something and go. No, this is important for us to know so that we can find our way to be a part of the solution. Okay, so thank you so much. Of course, y'all, I'm inspired. I mean, we need all of the stories here on The Day with Trae, and clearly that's what you got today. I get to wrap it all up right after this short break. Stay tuned, y'all.
COVID-19 hurt my income, my health, and my family. We were about to lose our home when we heard we might be eligible for homeowner assistance funds from the government. We called 1-877-894-HOME, and a housing counselor stepped in. They talked to our lender and saved our home. Because falling on hard times does not have to mean losing your home. Federal funding details at washingtonhaf.org.
What's up, everybody? You know, me and Besa, my girl, we had to pull up to Market Street Shoes once again, y'all.
And you know, we do this every season. We have to get the new shoes, the new boots, and this time I even got a coat.
Yeah, no, you did walk in without a coat.
I really
I'm glad
did.
you found one. But their boots were on point.
Yes, the boots, the bags. I even grabbed a flannel.
Yeah, you did. You know, and I was able to get some hats and everything. I was really impressed.
And you know, I was impressed because, of course, I got those white boots that you guys see me wearing everywhere these days.
Yeah, no, I look at your white boots and I'm like, darn it, they only have one pair. Me and Besa wear the same size. Of course, every time we walk out with several bags in hand.
Several bags and sometimes even a backpack, you guys. Make sure you check out Market Street Shoes.
Yeah, please check them out. Where they go, Besa?
Ooh, 2232 Northwest Market Street, Seattle, Washington.
One in every 500 African Americans in the U.S. suffers from sickle cell disease. 1 in 3 African American blood donors is a match for patients with sickle cell. 1 appointment to donate blood with the American Red Cross can help save a life. Will you be that one? Visit redcrossblood.org/ourblood today to schedule an appointment at a location near you.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Wow, what a wonderful Wednesday today. As always, I got to thank my guests for being here with me in the Black Media Matter studio. Shout out to Shalimar Gonzales, CEO of Solid Ground, telling us all about their work and, of course, about this upcoming panel from these amazing women of the global majority. They say women of color panel if you're looking for it, but y'all know I love global majority. Let's make it be what it be. So I always want to give a shout out because honestly, it takes a lot for folks sometimes to come into this environment, share what they're doing when they are so busy doing the work. You know, this is addition to that. So I just really appreciate her for being here and for making time to share her story, the ways that she stays resilient in this work amongst all of the other women who are going to be in the panel. I will be there moderating. That is, again, June 6th at Town Hall, Seattle. Y'all, at 7 p.m. Make sure y'all come out. As she said, pay what you can, you know, hear from these amazing women that are doing great work and hear from me because I'll be sharing some of my stuff too, y'all. So come and join us. Also, a huge shout out to AJ Brooks for bringing that message here. You know, if we don't know about things closing, how can we know how to support? I really appreciate him bringing that here, although it's very new for Seattle School for Boys to just have told the families that they are going to be shutting the doors. It's important for us as community members to be engaged and involved so we can find our ways of supporting such a phenomenal mission and vision that is necessary right here in our city and beyond. Of course, y'all, I'm inspired by what they shared today. I want y'all to be inspired always to find the ways for you to see yourself as a part of the solution. And I'm telling you, you never know. I feel like when I give you that message, I'm also giving you ways to do so. By supporting Seattle School for Boys, that's one way. By coming out, learning about these stories of these phenomenal women who are leaders in dynamic organizations, that's another. Because the more you learn, the more you may be able to find what void you may need to fill with your brilliance to be a part of that solution we all need out here in these streets. Well, I appreciate all y'all for watching. Of course, for me, until tomorrow at 11 a.m., y'all.